Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled "Vegan Neighbors Sued Me for Having Barbecues in My Backyard." Have you ever had a neighbor move in and you can tell right from the get-go that they won't be the most pleasant person to live next to? Well, I had not until 2 years ago. I live in Australia, which is known to have pretty consistent hot weather. The weather here is bright and sunny, consistent to what you would find in the summer season, where everyone is outside grilling and having a good time. And that is exactly what we did/still do most of the time, which is grill outside. We were a large family, with there being 6 of us, and all of us loved to cook. Our house had come with a pretty decked out outdoor kitchen, and we had saved up to add a really nice barbecue grill. We frequently had family time out on the deck, munching on all the delicious food that we managed to cook up inside and on the grill. Nobody had ever complained about this, which I don't see why anyone would. But this would change after the lady that moved in next to us attended a neighborhood party. My eldest son had recently graduated from culinary school at the young age of 19, which was a huge accomplishment to him and obviously us. In order to celebrate his accomplishment, we decided to throw a huge party with all of our friends, family and neighbors. I even invited the lady next door, as she was new to the neighborhood and I thought this might make her feel more welcome. Plus, it was a chance for us to get to know her and a chance for her to get to know her many neighbors. However, I quickly learned that once we got to know her, we would not want to know her anymore. As soon as we sent out the invites, we immediately got a call back from her. She had let us know that she was a vegan and that while she would love to come, we would have to make her special food. I thought this was a little demanding right off the bat. I have no problems with vegans or anyone that has the discipline to follow some special diet/lifestyle, but I figured since she lived next door, she could bring her own food. Was this just me being a bad party hostess? Although we, my family and I, were cooking a bunch of dishes for the party, many of our party goers were bringing their own food dishes and desserts. Regardless though, I had asked what she would like so that we could accommodate her, as we would love to have her at the party. So, flash forward to the day of the party, we had been grilling and barbecuing all afternoon in order to be ready when our guests arrive. We had several large tables filled with delicious dishes and foods such as pasta salad, smoked brisket, tri-tip and sweet bread rolls. Our backyard quickly started filling in with our guests, and shortly after, the lady from next door had arrived. Immediately upon arriving, she had started complaining to one of the other guests about the smell of the barbecue. I walked over to the 2 gals chatting, not wanting this day to be ruined by anything petty or something that could be easily fixed. She immediately started complaining to me, and I gotta admit, I was a little taken back. She then stated that she did not know that we would have a buffet of dead animals in our backyard, and she wanted to be seated away from the table with all of the grilled meat. Now I was really annoyed. I did my best to accommodate her, and I had no problem with anyone that had a different diet than mine. But this day was supposed to be about my son, and she had only been here 10 minutes before she started complaining and causing a ruckus amongst guests. I let her know that this was not possible because there was food with animal products displayed on all of the tables we had set. Well, I guess that she did not like my answer because she screamed that she just wanted to live my life without deceased animal parts being shoved in my face, and stormed out of the party. While I respect her and anyone's decision to be vegan, this was absolutely ridiculous. Yes, there was animal products and meat in our dishes, but we were absolutely not shoving our food choices in her face. I thought we had done pretty well to accommodate her. While it was clear that she did not agree with our food choices, she could have at least still been respectful to us. After this incident, our new neighbor did not speak to us at all. I was a little surprised, but I decided to brush it off because anyone who was that rude from the get-go was not worth wasting my time over. Well, we continued to use our grill and outdoor kitchen many days out of the week, and with my son's newfound cooking skills, he was excited to get out there and cook as well. I assumed that my neighbor was upset about this in her head, but I was not going to stop cooking and enjoying time with my family because she didn't agree with our food choices. And while I was sure she was upset about this, I surely was not expecting her to sue us over using our grill. I did not even know you could sue someone over something like this. We were not harming her, we were doing what we pleased in our own backyard in the privacy of our home. In her lawsuit, she had claimed that we were deliberately using our grill and outdoor kitchen on purpose as to bother her. She claimed that she had to endure the smell of dead animal carcass and that she cannot even enjoy her own backyard. I wasn't surprised to learn that her case against us had gotten rejected immediately because we were causing no harm to her. This would be like someone who cannot swim complaining that we had a swimming pool in our backyard. After she lost the case, then she did everything in her power to avoid us and walk by us like nothing. If she saw us out in our yard, she would turn around and look the other way. I had learned from another neighbor that she had tried to file a lawsuit against them too, which was so excessive to me. If she were so unhappy with her neighbors, couldn't she just move? Last I heard, she was trying to appeal her case against us, but was having no such luck. This lady was so crazy that she submitted over 600 pages of document in her appeal. How did she even have enough info to document that she gathered over 600 pages over a barbecue grill? This lady was just nuts, and not just because she was a vegan. Although she refused to talk to us or several of the other neighbors, I was sure glad because that meant I did not have to listen to her complaints. And ripe stars, sometimes I'm confused by these crazy neighbors because honestly, it would just be easier to get along with each other if you let them do what they want on their own property as long as it is not illegal. If you have ever had to deal with such crazy neighbors, then please let us know about your experiences in the comments. And by the way, while you're at it, I would really appreciate it if you could also like the video if you wish to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance, it really means the world to me and it helps me tremendously. The next one is titled Trash Can Wars. I closed on my first home in the beginning of July, met all of my neighbors since it was new construction, and the whole block closed on the same day. Everyone seemed nice enough and my immediate neighbors were a nice family with 2 younger kids. I felt relieved because I had been worried about having a bad neighbor at a townhouse. That was until the 4th of July when I came home from dinner with my mom and saw a tent propped up from one edge of my immediate neighbor's driveway to the edge of my driveway, approximately 4 feet into my property. They also had hung a clothesline with wet clothes across this tent, which just made it worse. I didn't say anything though and figured maybe this was just a celebration of the holiday and their new home, and to their benefit the tent has not been brought out again. Fast forward to the first trash day that next Friday, I went outside to put my cans out before work, sadly a chore I've never had to do and do not enjoy now that I have to, and see that my neighbor has their can protruding 2 inches into my driveway, which again is 4 feet away from the edge of my property line. I do understand that space is tight, but honestly, they could put a can on each side of their driveway if they wanted to respect my space. But I really don't mind the can being in front of my property as long as they are not in front of the driveway. I have a grassy area on the other side of me, so I'm able to put both of my cans over there. Anyway, I had to move their cans over so that I could leave my driveway, and it has been happening every other week since then. Last Wednesday, they put their cans out early, I am guessing, so that they could go out of town for the long weekend. I pulled up to my house and decided that obviously they are not noticing that I am moving the cans out of my way or simply don't care. So this time I moved the cans over and decided that I would choose pettiness. On Friday morning before work, I moved both full cans up to their garage where they wouldn't be emptied. They were overflowing with trash. Hope they didn't need to get rid of any trash this week, and I am looking forward to Trash Day. And guys, if you have ever had any satisfying petty revenge on your neighbor, I would be very glad if you could post your experiences in the comments and share your stories with us. The next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for repeatedly reporting my neighbor to city by law? We got a new neighbor a while back, and this dude is running a limo company out of his house. Like, I've been blocked coming home because he parked a stretch limo in a do not park zone and clogged a narrow street with his and his employees' cars. And also, there are cars coming until 3 AM. Now, the worst part is that the limos take up his garage, so he parks his cars right up against the curb, causing a blind spot and making it extremely dangerous to turn into and turn out of our street because we live in a cul-de-sac. So every time I see him parked against the edge, I immediately call city by law and get him ticketed. My dad says I am being over the top by constantly reporting him to the city, but I think he is being dangerous and a selfish prick. Am I the a-hole? Edit, to the people asking if I talk to him first, the answer is no. My logic is that A. You should not be running a business out of your own garage using the entire street as your garage to change drivers and store your SUV stretch limos, and B. When it says don't park, the signs are there for a reason. The street is narrow and leaving the engine running with the hazards on is not a way to outwit the don't park sign. C. Lastly, and this is the most important part, your personal SUV and stretch limo SUV are violating a law that every teenager is taught when they are 16. I find it near impossible that a grown middle-aged man does not know that you shouldn't park right up against the street corner, if not because of the law, but because of common sense. It obscures sightlines and presents a risk of hitting some stuck to the small stretch of the street left. I've almost got into so many accidents because I cannot see around the corner. There are children running around the neighborhood and could be hiding among your limos. If nobody can see when they turn in or out and there are kids just around the corner, and also blocking the street with your clever cheating the parking sign tricks which blocks the fire trucks and ambulances. One of our neighbors is in her late 80s. If she needs an ambulance and you are blocking the road, well, not a good idea. I don't see why I need to talk to him, but to top things off, I have tried talking to him on a friendly term when he moved in. And before we all found out he was a colossal a-hole, and he ignored me completely. And that is trying to be friendly. A user in the comments said, your neighbor is probably just trying to make a living, but I draw the line at safety. Please call them every time. Another user said, not the a-hole, you are only being over the top until his parking causes an accident or you cannot get out and it is an emergency. Keep calling, this is why people rent small buildings with fenced parking lots to run their limo businesses out of. He may well be breaking zoning laws if you wanna kick it up a level. He should have figured it out after the first ticket. And Ripe Stars, I am curious what you would have done if you were in OP's shoes. Would you also have called the police on the neighbor or not? I mean, one of the commenters made a good point about this dude probably just trying to make a living. However, if other people potentially get hurt while he is trying to make a living, that is just not okay. In addition, since I have a little bit of experience with neighbors blocking almost the entire neighborhood, or at least the entire street, with their commercial vehicles, I can say that this is super annoying and I would not want to wish it on anybody. The next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for chopping down the trees in my backyard even though my neighbor liked them and asked me not to? So, our new neighbors renovated their backyard around 3 months ago, not long after they moved in. They added a pool, a hammock, a built-in grill and a bar, and they basically made a resort in their own backyard. Our backyard has grass and a bunch of tall palm trees that are right behind their fence. So lately, a few of the dead leaves of our palm trees have been falling into their backyard, which was not an issue with the old neighbors. They rarely brought it up and we were always apologetic. The thing is, we have been considering getting rid of our palm trees for a couple years because of the maintenance and also because we never spent time in our backyard. So, when the neighbors started throwing the leaves back into our yard and yelling at us to be responsible, we decided it was time to cut them down. They didn't like this idea either. They said that when they were planning their backyard, they were considering our trees as part of their scenery and that without the trees it would take away from their backyard. They also said that there isn't enough space for them to plant their own trees, so they offered to pay for someone to come to our house and to maintain our trees. This would usually be really nice, but at this point we were set on taking down the trees, and we also didn't want to form a relationship with the neighbors because they were very rude and we would feel like we owed them if they paid for the maintenance. So 2 days ago we cut down the trees and now they are furious, complaining to all the other neighbors, blasting us on the neighborhood forum and giving out our address. They told us that we are not being very neighborly and that we are selfish. We told them that it is our property and we can do whatever we want with it, and they should have been responsible when they decided not to put trees in their yard. So, are we the a-holes? A user in the comments said, "Get right back on the neighborhood forum and point out that a-hole neighbor was constantly throwing the fallen leaves into your yard and yelling at you about them. Your yard, your call. Waits for the Reddit tree police." Another user said, "Yeah, I would flat out sling back at this point. We rarely enjoy these trees personally and instead maintained them for years to help keep our neighborhood a beautiful and vibrant place. We were deeply disappointed when the new neighbors began harassing us about the trees, and as we had considered removing them for a time already, we decided to best avoid future and ongoing conflicts regarding our use of our personal space by simply having them removed." Another user said, "Not the a-hole, still trying to wrap my head around the fact that they wanted the trees but complained about them and made them more of a problem for you by throwing the leaves back into your yard. Also, why aren't your other neighbors laughing in their face and shutting down their crappy behavior?" And the last one is titled, "Am I the a-hole for proving I am the owner of my home?" I, 20 female, was fortunate enough to buy a house. For only being 15k, I have to say it is quite nice. It did not really need much work besides a new roof, and the cabinets needed replacement, but my dad is a carpenter, so that didn't really matter much. The previous owner was an older man who unfortunately passed away after living in the house since before I was even thought of. I finally got a move in 2 months ago. It's been fun making it on my own, but it has taken some time to get used to living alone. 3 weeks after moving in, I was outside starting some work, clearing out a few places to plant a garden and flowers in the spring. I live in the Midwest, so I wanted to get this done before the ground freezes. My next door neighbor, I will call her Jane, maybe 50s, came out and introduced herself. I explained that I just moved in and was preparing my yard for the spring. She said it was nice that someone was doing some work for the old man and gave me a spiel about how it is a quiet neighborhood and I shouldn't have parties. I told her I don't throw parties, but was planning on hosting a housewarming and Thanksgiving soon. She says it is weird to throw a housewarming when I was renting. I told her I own the house, however she didn't believe me and then went home. Last week I was out painting my front door. She stormed over yelling that I better had permission to paint someone else's house. I again told her that I own the home. She started yelling that I was too young to buy a house and she was contacting my landlord. I told her to stop being a busybody and leave me alone. She started demanding proof and I told her it was none of her business and to get off my property. She walked to the edge of her yard and called the police saying I was a squatter. When they showed up, I showed them my paperwork and asked to trespass her from my home. Jane is still angry. I was talking to my dad the next day asking what I should do. He said I was an ass for making enemies with my neighbors and said I should have just showed her to put her mind to rest. I don't feel like I was in the wrong, but my dad thinks I was. Am I the a-hole? And a user in the comments said, "Not the a-hole, everything went perfectly in this situation because she made an ass out of herself in front of the police right away." Your dad is the a-hole though for having no sympathy for you that your neighbor has personality disorders, mental illness or something. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.